Welcome everyone. Today I have a new Dota autochess tier list guide. Yes, I've been working on some tier lists and I want to go through the tier list with you guys. So what you want to see is I purposely paused the game to show you guys a bit of the history. If you guys didn't know, you can go to seasonal award and see the history of your games. You can see I've actually achieved Queen on multiple of my accounts. I make 3 Dota accounts, that's right, because Dota is free to play. And you can see there's some rankings where consistently coming first in certain games, and sometimes I do come last, but you can see on average we make top 4, and this is the best way to gain ranking and also win most of the games. Some of the times I'm testing builds, you can see top 8, top 7, but other times coming first. And if I really try hard, it's consistently top 1, top 2, top 3 with the right build. So how do we want to do this? Is that you may be able to see I've opened a number of tabs depending on our previous build, and I try to cover most of the popular and also strong builds. So before going through the tier list, there are a few things I want to cover in this tier list. The first thing is that what you want to build your build around is depending on the legendaries and also the relics. If you haven't seen the tier list on the relics and also how to use them, make sure you use the links below or see the previous video about the tier list for the relics. This is combined with the choices of what build is the best. Second to that, depending on the available pool of legendaries, certain builds will be very powerful while certain builds can't even play. For example, you need 2 shamans usually, or you need to magic box, or you need to find the shamans to play the 6 shamans. Similarly with 9 hunters, or maybe with elves or even mages. It really depends on the available of legendaries. I'll talk about this as we go through the units and also the tier list of the build. Finally to that, depending on the neutral item, which I haven't had time to go through all of them, you might be able to play certain build and you might not be able to play certain build. Certain neutral items like the spider legs is a game changer for certain build, but if you don't have it, you can't play the aqua build with 4 aquas that easily. And this is pretty much a must-have for certain build. Similarly for hunters, I only play hunters if I have the telescope. And also depending on how contested those builds are. Because depending on the S1 to S5 units, there's a limited number of those. If someone else gets a 3-star, you can't get your units anymore. So there's a lot of things to consider. And how should we do this? Well, let's try it this way. So what I do is I'll go through my choices of the builds that I think are the best and the reasons behind it. Keep in mind, some of those builds are best for top 4, top 3. They might not be able to win the fight, and some builds are super strong, but it's very hard to get it going. So let's have a look at the demonstrations while we go through the replays. And of course, I'll go through the build with you guys briefly. The builds will be available on YouTube for you to have a look into more details. The first build I think is very strong and also very powerful is going to be the Alchemist with Ogre Aqua build. So why is this build powerful is that with the spider legs, you can make a Mega Alchemist and you can summon a lot of units and you kill them, you resummon them. It is very powerful. So with a build like this, it is only dependent on a tier 2 item, and if I find this tier 2 item early in the game, then my alchemist become a super boss. It is rarely contested, and even contested, both players can play decently on this build. Now, what counters this build? Well, there isn't much of a great counter. It only really depends on a super late game team that can counter us. But with the right units and also becoming even stronger, duplicating our units with Arc Warden, this build is by far the most consistent top 3 build for me. I'm not going to say this is the strongest late game build, but it doesn't have great counters. Even contested with other players playing the same build, you can still do decently. And the build has some really good end game potential. So this is why I still rank the Aqua one of the best rank up consistent top 3 build. Now some builds are really broken if you get them going, but Aqua doesn't need any legendaries. Aqua Warden is great, but it doesn't need those. Now you might notice a trend. Firstly, we're going to look at most consistent build. The second one you can notice are going to be the Night Warriors. Night Warriors are easy to find, easy to build, and very consistent for top 3. You can find your early game tier 1 warriors all the way to legendary warriors and getting Doom to 3-star, or even some great 2-star legendaries like Troll Warlord or Sven, or even finding Wrath King as a warrior can be very powerful. You also contest a majority of the other players, and there are some counters to us. So Night Warriors is something that I think is very consistent, and I do rank it pretty highly in terms of my builds tier list because it's easy to build. Even contested, you can still find other great warriors, finding 2-star units like the Doom and the Conquer, and you can see we have a variety of 2-star warriors, and that was enough to win most of the fight. You can adjust into Nagas, you can adjust into the stampede of units to charge enemies, you can adjust multiple times. And the biggest counter will be mages, yes, but you can train to go at least 2 Nagas and getting a Pipe of Insight for your neutral item to make the Night Warriors work. And due to its availability of warriors, this makes the build super consistent if you're aiming to come top 3. But sometimes it might not be the strongest build. So notice the top few builds are easy to build, very less contested, and also they're not the strongest, but they get you to top 3 or top 4. Next to that, now this build is actually rather highly contested after a video, and I've noticed a lot of players are playing this build. Let's have a look at the build. This is a 3-star cards build with multi-targeting and also with a 3-star Ricky, very powerful. And there's a lot of potentials for disabling enemies, for stunning them, and also doing a lot of crazy things. And cards is super epic if you get it right. So why is this build good? You can build this build into a lot of different things. You start with the 4 Torrents and also the 4 Gods, and then you can go into any units like the Stampede, the Nagas to counter enemies, or even the 4 Harpies is great. Sometimes I even tried 6 Assassins, and that still works because we have the Wizard synergy. Assassins like Templar Assassin and also Crown of Pain can be powerful, and the cards build is good. But why isn't as good as the 2 first build I talked about is because it's so highly contested. So a lot of players are playing a similar build. A lot of players want to get Torrents for Salmon build, for Gods build. A lot of players want to get Medusa for their Void build, or maybe for the Hunter build, and cards is highly contested. Almost 1 player or 2 players in the group is playing this build. So even though it's strong, it is too highly contested for me at the moment. Now, as we keep going, on the topic of a less contested and consistent build, I would actually strongly recommend the elves. You can go with 6 elves, 4 monks with Marcy, and Marcy will become an unstoppable rampaging girl. And it is amazing to see her at work. And you can see this is a demonstration video of my Marcy getting the Divine Rapier, and she's punching down everything in her sight. You can pivot this build into 9 elves, or you can pivot this build into 4 stampede charges and enemies, or you can pivot this build into 4 nagas. A lot of room for late game, but even in the mid game, this build, if finding the correct item for Marcy, you will have non-stop rampage, as you see over here. She literally took the entire team down over here. They keep summoning and they keep killing them. Look at the rampage. It's like unlimited rampage. And that's before Marcy found lifesteal. So the Marcy build is very consistent. It is somewhat contested. So compared to the other builds that is requiring a tier 2 neutral item, which gated a lot of players, the Marcy build is too consistent and sometimes players will be actively trying to play Marcy. So this is why I don't rank it too highly in my initial mid-game build, but it is great. If no one is contesting Marcy and you know how to play, playing Marcy will almost get you to top 4 all the time, unless you get super lucky against a broken Aqua build or maybe a broken Shaman build that summons too many things. So notice the theme of my highly ranked build is towards mid-game and also towards not many players contesting you. Later down in the tier list, we're going to go through build that is just too broken and too strong, but it requires a bit of luck and also certain items or units. On the topic of a less contested build that needs to be not contested are going to be the 6 goblins and also deities. We had a comment asking how consistent this build is. I find that if you can get the 3-star goblins early and the right neutral item, you become unstoppable. But after round 40, things does turn a little more difficult, especially when players are finding too many good units and too many good synergies that our tier 1 and also tier 2 units, even at 3-star, they can't do much. So this build is highly countered by mages or units that deals burst, magical, or units that deals pure damage. Units like Sven, Crown of Pain can be a great counter. We don't do too well with shamans because we don't do burst damage, but other than that, you have tons of armor, You can go counter the mages with 4 Nagas. You can also get a lot of Warlocks. You can also get great neutral items. The biggest drawback for this build is that if a lot of players are contesting this one, or if players are playing Hunters, taking away your Bounty Hunter, or players are playing Mages with Tinker, then you might be short on units. So it is more towards ING. If you're finding a lot of Goblins and no one in the entire group is playing Goblins, then this is still a really good build. I've come, top 1, top 2 using this build. On the topic of coming first on the build, so if we look at this one, you can see what are the times I come first. I came first with 4 Gods and Torrents over here, and came first with 9 Warriors, I came first with Shamans, Assassins top 3, and over here 6 Shamans top 1, and here with the Goblins I just mentioned, we came first. So there are some consistent builds that I can come first. Of course, 9 Mages usually are pretty good. We'll have a mage build guide very soon as well. And I've tested some build here with 4 Priests that came second. And here again, the Turns, the Gods, they're very powerful no matter how you mix it, because the latest changed the turns. So on the topic of a good build that needs to not be contested, we have 9 Hunters. 9 Hunters, a little one-directional build that deals mostly physical damage. Even though the magical Hunters could deal multi-shot damage with Harpies, it is not that consistent unless you get to 9 Hunters. And even with that, you can see you get countered a lot. There's players that is stunning you, there's players that does magic in the end of the game. So 9 Hunters is a great early game build. But the drawback is in the later stage, notice that we're so vulnerable to stuns, to magic, we're so vulnerable to everything, and you saw me losing there. But 9 Hunters generally get players to top 3 if no one is contesting Hunters, and if you started with Telescope. Telescope boosts your damage by a lot. Finally, if you know how to position your Hunter correctly against the Assassins, against Mages, or against certain build, you can be quite okay because you'll find Nagas in the later game. And finding 9 Hunters is the best way to go to become consistently top 3, or sometimes with a bit of luck, you can become first. I'm not going to say the Hunters are the best, but if not contested, usually I don't play Hunters because it's very, very boring one-directional, but it is a consistent build. If you really want to win, just spamming Hunters and no one's playing Hunters may be the best way. And that's how I came first. I'm not the strongest, but the other players took each other out and I was about to come first, just scraping by. Sometimes you don't come first, but you usually come top 4 with the Hunters. But compared to the builds before this, 9 Hunters can be a little weaker. So let's keep going. We're going to go to some build that is much harder, but much stronger. So what I say about tier list, I guess this is not going to be a proper tier list that build you should play or build you shouldn't play. It's more about introducing the build and what is needed for those builds. Notice that the majority of this build, there isn't a must-have legendary. There's a neutral item that is needed. You don't need any particular warriors. You don't need any particular legendaries in this build. And this is what makes the build better. The 9 Hunters comes with a drawback. You do want to have your final 9 Hunter with Tight Hunter, or you need to be level 10 with 2 Wizard. Because of the drawback, I rank Hunters a little lower. Similarly, if we talk about consistent build, the Savages or the Beast, 6 Beast build, the combo build is incredibly powerful if no one is contesting it. There are some people that will contest you, but let's just have a look at the demonstration of how powerful it is of summon units. Once you have 6 Savages with tons of control, and also tons of more summons with Arc Warden, or even without Arc Warden, you will overwhelm the board with stuns, with overwhelming physical damage, and most players can't deal with it. So, why don't I rank this build a little higher, even though it's so powerful, is that this build has certain winning conditions. One of the first win condition for the Savage is that you want to be rolling at level 9. And it's very hard for most players to consistently get to level 9 by round 21 and still have a lot of health, a lot of economy, and more gold to be rolling. After that, you want most of your units to be 2-star, and it is preferable to have the tier 5 Savage with the Primal Beast, but it is not necessary. You can pivot into a lot of different builds, especially having the 4 Stampede, or you can go with Arc Warden, duplicating your units. There's a lot of choices you can go into, but this build technically it's a win big or lose big. I've come top 8 or top 7, I've come first in this build. So it is not most consistent, but it is a very powerful build once you get it going. So if you guys want to win big and less contested build, this is definitely a good build to try. But again, don't need any legendaries, but can be greatly enhanced with legendaries like Last Track, like Arc Warden, Primal Beast. This can be enhanced. Let's keep going. On the topic of a good build that doesn't require particular legendary but can still be strong, this is the 4 Stampede, 4 Guards, and also 4 Turned. You have tons of control. Every step your unit moves, you'll be stunning enemies, controlling them, picking up any legendary unit like the Queen of Pain, Tide Hunter, anything works for this build. Anything that enjoys lower cooldowns and anything that can stun enemy consistently. Notice enemies are constantly stunned. The build gets better. Look at this, Alchemist getting trampled. So the build gets better with Last Strike, the build gets better with any unit that can stun Primal Beast, Queen of Pain, Tide Hunter. So I like this build a lot. The only downside is that this build is rather contested now. That's why I rank it a little lower. Because of the Elder Titan, because of Earth Spirit, that goes with a cast build. And other units are also contested by the elves and also by other druid players. But regardless, let's have a look at this one. So this is a very flexible build, and I just won a game using this build because there's so much stun potential. There's so many choices. You can pick anything that will work. And here we're fighting a super broken Alchemist. But look at this. Infinite stuns, infinite controls, that really locks them into place. So if we come back to my game over here, you can see the last game I used a similar build. A lot of stuns, just 4 guards, 4 turns, and I even got 4 Nagas, but then I was facing a hunter, so I didn't need the Nagas. So you can see this one, and what I'll do is at the end of the video, you can click down below and see the variety of the build I just mentioned. Now why? Well, actually I mentioned about why I rank this a little lower. It's because of people contesting the 4 guards and turns too many times. Now, in the topic of contesting, if no one's contesting knights, this is a very underrated build that can be very good against most of the build if you get your 3-star knights going. And here we have a 3-star Legion. It is possible to not go with Legion, but if you happen to get a Legion commander early game and no one is contesting knights, this is a very niche market that you can go into and pretty much destroy most players. Now, if this is not the way, you can also go with the 4 knights and also 6 trolls, and then pivot into 6 knights and also 6 trolls. Very consistent. I won't say this is the strongest, but it is consistently top 2, top 3 if you get your knights to 3-star early and no one else is playing knights. If there's one other player that is playing knights, well, both of you are in for top 8 and top 7. So this is I guess the drawback of the knights. I don't rank it too highly. It is a one-dimensional build similar to the hunters, but the knights are good. If you want to rank up, just spam knights, know how to play knights, and then keep going, and this will show you, I guess, this will show you the power of a consistent build, given that no one's playing knights a lot in the game. On the topic of playing unique and also special build, we have 3-star Lina mages. I also have some replays to show you guys the Lina with 4 harpies and also crazy good items, but the Lina mage is just focused on Lina zapping everyone before they do anything, and you can see Lina will cast multi-shot, and within 1 second of the fight, he disappeared. And this is not just all. In the early games, Lina mages are very powerful, especially having the center War Chieftain, so you can see that once Lina starts zapping, there's nothing left. And Lina builds are not generally too counted unless you're facing a Ricky Cloud, which comes into the cast build and also Assassins. And you can see multi-shot Lina, because of the Harpies and also the Spell Prison, every few seconds she will one-shot 3 or 4 units. And this is incredibly powerful if no one is contesting Linas with Ogres. Now, why do I rank this build a little lower is that for the difficulty to get this build going, finding your 3-star Linas, finding Crystal Maiden, finding your Skywrath Mage, Ogre Magi, and also the Centaur War Chieftain can be difficult. Players that plays Elemental Morphling will be rolling away your units. Players that plays cards may be taking away your, your Harpy, your Skywrath Mage, and sometimes you just can't find your 3 stars fast enough. So it's a powerful build again if no one's playing this one, but if anyone kind of takes away your units and you're too slow to get to 3 stars, then level 6 and then level 9, you might be a little behind. But again, it's high risk, high reward. Once you get it going, you're pretty much unstoppable. Let's keep going. On the topic of a good build, we have one of our latest videos of finding 3-star legendaries. Again, this is ultimate version of the high risk, high return. Here you can find any 3-star legendaries you wanted as long as it's strong. I found 3-star Tidehunter, 3-star Techies, 3-star Gyros, 3-star Spectres, anything I wanted in the game, and it's incredible if you get it going. But if you don't get lucky with the magic box, and if you don't get lucky with your items, then it's not that easy. And here we're watching my 3-star Tidehunter going to work, right? So you can see the 3-star Tidehunter with 2-star Wolf King, 2-star Warlock, 2-star Gyrocopter, 2-star Spectre, just legendary for days. And this is a very powerful, fun, entertaining build, but it can have a huge drawback. If you don't hit your timing curves, if you don't hit the 6 mercs, well, you're pretty much out of here. But if you do, no one can stop you. Most of the time, you'll be top 2. So, all of those builds will be available should you guys want to have a look. Now, I'm not saying some of those builds are weaker, it's just that they're difficult to achieve. On the topic of difficult to achieve, we have the Shamans. Shamans are broken. And yes, the Shamans can render into any units, and sometimes the units in render can get powerful items like Refresher, like Warlock, Infinite Summons, and Shamans are very good in pretty much every stage of the game if you get 6 Shamans. This will depending having the 2 legendary Shamans available in the pool, including Arc Warden and also Disruptor. Also, lucky chance of finding Shamans with Magic Box, Wheel of Wonder, and also finding your Earth Spirit. You don't need all of those, but it's very difficult to get the Shaman going. Once you get going, you're unbeatable or pretty much top 2. But the degree of difficulty in achieving this is quite hard. Half of the time when I play Shamans, I'm top 8, or I finish on 8 or 7 or 6. Other half of the time I come in 1st or 2nd because Shamans are so good when you find it, but if you don't find 6 Shamans early, well, you'll be dead by round 30 or before round 30. So it's a hit and miss, but very powerful build. Almost there. I still have a few builds to talk to you guys about. Now, on the topic of a hit and miss, I don't think I should rank the Void build too lowly, but I want to show you guys sometimes when you try to force a Void build, it might not have a good time. And here what you're seeing is, I think I have a 3-star Doom, 3-star Anti-Mage, 3-star Monkey King, and here we're facing a 3-star, all 3-star Assassins. And it's really epic battles. Void build are some of the strongest builds in the game. Tons of purple units to 3-star, and it's incredible. And you get Templar Assassin, you get all the good things to 3-star, and I'll just show you guys at the end of the fight recap, we're having some great battles left to right, and you get to like ultra end stage of the game, and you don't mind. And here, 2-star Gyrocopter, everything going ham. Let me just show you guys what are the units that was 3-star. I'm facing a 3-star Queen of Pain, 3-star Phantom Assassin with 3-star Anti-Mage, Monkey King, Queen, the Medusa, Doom, and all the good units are 2 stars. So this is the ultra mega version of the late game, but to get there, again, similar to the Beast build that we mentioned earlier, the Mega Combo Savage Beast build, the Void build requires you to hit the timing curve, get to level 8 or level 9 with consistently purple units, and then start to get those purple units to 3-star. Sounds very difficult unless you have a great economy, unless you get lucky with the units. It's a huge hit or miss. Sometimes the units you're picking might not be the best counters to the enemies. It was only when I get 3-star Medusa was I able to beat the Assassin players. Other times there may be other players taking your units, and you might not just find the right unit. It's also situational if you can find, great units like Sven or Queen of Pain, and it's great. So if you know how to play Void, if you happen to be very high level, can't find the great units, then picking a few Void units and also adjusting to it gives you so much flexibility. But if you do not know the concept, or if you don't have the economy and you want something consistent, the earlier builds may be something for you. So notice the curve of the tier list, the early builds are great for consistency, less requirement for units, while the later builds requires you to get lucky or have lots of economy and certain units. On the topic of that, one of the best and the most strongest build will be the Dragon Undead Harpy build. Let's have a look at the replay first. Here we're facing enemy players. So what's happening? This might seem a little bizarre. We're facing a card that is ultra mega strong. And here we have so many units. We went to round 46, I believe. The card basically takes down my unit twice. That's how powerful the card is. So what are you seeing is this is a very strong Undead build that I went to level 13 with. Yes, Undead is the strongest win streak build. As you win, you keep winning. But if you're losing, it's hard to play Undead. In that video, I also teach you how to play losing streak Undead, but it's much harder. You can have 5 dragons for instant cast, 2 harpies for multicast, 6 undead half enemies health. You can have even mages, you can have demon hunters, but most of all, you have units that can multicast instantly. Spectre deals a lot of damage, while Necrophos one-shot enemies, or 2 enemies, or 3 enemies, depending if you find Spell Prison. Similarly, Lich can be very powerful, and you can add tons of great units as you go late game. Wife King gives you a second life, and what's better is 5 dragons you have instant cast. The only reason I'm losing a little bit or getting close to this fight is because he's got a 3-star Ricky. Without 3-star Ricky, the fight will be done in 5 seconds. Definitely one of the hardest, one of the strongest build in the game. I've tried about 5 or 10 undead games, 3 of them destroyed everyone, 2 of them barely makes the top 4, and other 5 are lost with undead, because it's very difficult to get going, so keep that in mind. Now, you thought undead was fun, right? This is also a very fun build that I saved to the last of the tier list. This one is a Mega Raid Boss Gyrocopter. Let's have a look. So this is an auto-version of the 6th Savage Beast, and here we turn in Gyrocopter into an ogre that eats your units and then blinks in and deals tremendous AoE damage within a few seconds and mega rampage. This is one of the hardest builds to get going because not only you need certain tier 4 or tier 5 items to be rolled correctly, you also have to have Gyrocopters in the game. Followed by that, you have to be strong enough to get to 6 beasts and then enough support to stun enemies to get it going. Sounds difficult, but it's very rewarding once the Gyrocopter gets going, because at the start, the Gyrocopter will eat away the units around it, taking tons of stats, bonus damage, and then blinking in with flat cannon, pretty much 2-shot everything. And you gotta see it again. So here I blink in, my units are stunning him, and with Mentor Style, it is incredible. One of the strongest and also most satisfying build, but again, it is one of the hardest build to build. So the degree is, the earlier builds are much consistent, top 3, top 4 builds. Mid build are not bad, if not contested, it's okay. While on this side, it is strong but much harder. Now you might have noticed, I'm actually missing a few builds from my videos. So what are the builds that I'll be planning to add to you guys are mages. 9 mages are great. Now, 9 mages usually I want to see at least 2 mages as legendaries. Whether it's Invoker, whether it's Zeus, or whether it's Jakiro. Preferably Jakiro. I rarely play mages without the dragons, so I combine 9 mages with 5 dragons using the wizard, and then sometimes pivot into 3 or 6 humans. So mages will be a build we'll be looking at, and then of course the assassins. Where are we? Assassins. 6 assassins are consistent, 9 assassins are very powerful. So I would say that I will only play the Dragon Mage if there's Jakiro in the game, and I'll only play Assassins if there's at least 1 legendary Assassin in the game. Templar or Queen of Pain, if you have both, I'll consider playing Assassins for sure, but notice that those 2 builds are depending on the legendaries. It's very dependable, and even sometimes if you find the right ones, they might be other broken builds. So I would say Dragon Mage is on par with some of the strongest build, while 9 assassins might be a little weaker, and we'll be covering those builds in the future. So hopefully you found this tier list and also build explanation video helpful. And again, all the videos and all the guides I mentioned over here is available in the links or on the channel. So have a look. I did take a lot of effort to try to teach you guys, and you can see in the early videos there's only a few, while in the more consistent videos, there's a lot more. So this shows you, I want to share all the builds with you guys for Dota autochess, at least for 2025, while I have a bit of time to work on those. Let me know in the comments below, guys, if there's any builds I missed, or if there's any recommendation you have for me for Dota autochess. I'll be trying to post a few of our other videos as well, because I've been working with Uni on other videos, and because around this time I decided to play a lot of autochess. In the future, you might see a variety of different videos, so stay tuned for those, and also subscribe for the latest update. I'll see you guys next time.